Okay, the first story is titled The River, and it has a character named Harry Ashfield in it. He nicknames himself Bevel, and the preacher in the story is also named Bevel. And Harry names himself Bevel as like a funny joke. Um, Bevel the kid that's also named Harry gets baptized in a river by the preacher that's also named Bevel, and he doesn't understand what being baptized really is. Um, the preacher tells him that heaven's like in the river, so the kid actually thinks heaven's in the river. Like he goes back to the river and tries to find the bottom of the river because he thinks that's where heaven is. And he never really can get to the bottom of the river because I guess it might have been deep. He can't get to the bottom of the river, so then he gets really upset that he can't reach heaven. There's a photograph from the Ogden Museum titled Sunday School Holiness Church. And inside the photograph is of a small group of people standing in a really small house wearing really dark clothes, and they all look very poor. The people are mostly girls and one woman, and they're black people. And they are doing Sunday school, so they probably understand what being baptized is, where Harry didn't really understand the spiritual qualities of being baptized. Harry came from a family that was rich and unreligious, where his mom, Mrs. Conan, was hungover and she wore silk pants, and she seems like a pretty rich person, and she didn't even know her kid was getting baptized. There was a very big contrast to the religious photograph of the black people in poor clothes to this story titled The River, where like the photograph was of poor black people and the river was of like middle class white people that can afford silk pants, and they don't know what God is. And there was Christianity in the story titled The River because of the baptism with the preacher, pastor. Yeah, it was a preacher, and the Sunday School Holiness Church. There was Christianity, and that photograph because they're doing church in the tiny building. In the next photograph, titled Watermelon on the Courthouse Grounds, there was a group of white men sitting on the ground wearing really rich looking clothes and eating watermelon. It looks like they were having a party with like no women in the photograph. The picture goes with the story, The River, because the river is mostly of white people, and this photograph has mainly white people in the photograph. The people in the watermelon photograph is also wearing expensive clothes like Mrs. Conan, and there's a setting in the river story of Harry running around outside, like for most of the story, and the watermelon photograph. All the men are outside in the setting of this photograph. There's no indicator in the watermelon photograph if these men are Christian or not, so they're kind of like Harry. In the picture, no wait. The next story is titled Blood Burning Moon by the author Toomer, and it's very closely related to the Sunday School Holiness Church because the characters in the story are poor and black people. They're poor black people, and the Sunday School Holiness Church has poor black people in it. And inside the story, there's a black couple named Louisa and Tom Burwell. Excuse me. and they have a relationship with each other. And this white guy named Bob Stone gets in the middle of it, and he tries to kill Tom, and he knocks out Louisa in the process. And when she wakes up from it, it's like she don't know what happened, and she even says perhaps Tom Burwell would come back. And there's a lot of hardships that go on in this story, and I found that it went well with the Christian photograph because of the black women, because they all look repressed, like Tom and Louisa looked repressed. And the white men that are eating watermelon really seem similar to Bob Stone, who hurt Tom and Louisa. And the mood in the photograph, Sunday School Holiness Church, is a very sad and depressing mood. They don't look like they have a whole lot of things in their life that makes them happy. Even their clothes looks unhappy looking. The building is really small, and their clothes is dark looking. And the characters, the women in the photograph, aren't smiling. They're not having fun. They're not having a party. The medium of the picture is silver gelatin, and the year it was made was 1935. And the mood of the picture, watermelon on the courthouse grounds, is a happy mood, and all the men in the photograph are wearing white clothes and having a party, and they're just having the best time with no women around. And the medium of this picture is sepia toned silver gelatin, and it's a print. And the year that this was made in was 1935. Both of the photographs were made by the artist Eudora Welty, and there was harsh vertical lines in the Sunday School Holiness Church with the women sitting up straight, and some of the girls in the background were standing, and this all made them seem very stressed out looking. There was a slanted line from the oldest woman that went to the children in the photograph, and this showed a fear in the photograph, like she was trying to protect the younger ones that were around her. It makes me think the older woman in the Sunday School Holiness Church always has a certain amount of fear inside of her because of the slanted line of her arm going out to the children. And in the picture watermelon on the courthouse grounds, there's vertical lines of the men sitting up straight. There's slanted lines of their legs being bent because they aren't sitting with their legs crossed. I don't know if their clothes will even allow them to sit with their legs crossed because they're wearing nice clothes. A lot of times nice clothes is more starchy, and you can't bend that well in them. And then there's a horizontal line of a man bent over talking to another man in the watermelon photograph, and the horizontal line just shows that two people are talking, and the person who was bent over really wanted to have the conversation. There's more vertical lines in the background of the watermelon photograph, and the two photographs came from the Ogden museum collection. And that's the comparison and contrast video of the stories and the two photographs.